on the third Sunday of the month means it's time for a Chai and Wai from Ruparel College. And today it's a very, very special Chai and Wai because Mumbai is hosting the International Olympiad on Astronomy and Astrophysics right now. We're right in the middle of it. And today's Chai and Wai is also part of the IOAA program. And it's going to be on the Olympiads and the Astronomy Olympiad in particular. And it's an absolute pleasure to welcome Professor Aniket Sule, who is the president of the IOAA. Now, before I introduce him and get to Chai and Wai, two things. First, for all of you watching on YouTube, please enter your questions and comments on the chat. We will look at it and address them to Aniket, who will be doing today's session. Also, those of you who are watching it for the first time or coming here for the first time, Chai and Wai happens 3 times a month. On the first Sunday, we are at Prithvi Theatre in Juhu. On the third Sunday, we are at Ruparel College in Matunga. And if a month has a fifth Sunday, we are live from a lab in TIFR. And guess what? This month has a fifth Sunday. So our next session is actually an online only session on the fifth Sunday of August, which is on protein biochemistry. This will be given from the lab of Professor Koti. It should be a very interesting session. You can follow us. This gives you an opportunity to visit the labs in TIFR where we may not be allowed to actually enter because of various restrictions. So join us for that 2 weeks from now. And after that, in September, the first Sunday at Ruparel College, we'll have the first Sunday at Prithvi Theatre, we'll have Professor Vinita Vaidya telling us about stress and what happens in the brain with neurotransmitters and all this stuff. That's happening at Prithvi Theatre first Sunday of September. So with that note, let me start introducing Professor Aniket Sule. Now, I don't have his formal bio with me, but I have known him for many, many years. He is also a professor at the Homi Bhabha Centre for Science Education. And I know that he was definitely in IIT Bombay for his master's, after which he went to Germany and did his PhD in astronomy from the University of Potsdam, and then came back to India and joined HBCSE and moved to astronomy education. Now, he is one of the foremost people in astronomy education. He is part of the International Astronomy Union's group, leads the group on astronomy education. He is the president of the International Olympiad on Astronomy and Astrophysics, and also leads the Office of Astronomy Education, one of the 6 centers across the world that the International Astronomy Union has set up, which is hosted out of India and out of HBCSE. So we are very, very proud to have him at the center and lead this effort. And today he's going to talk to all of us about what are Olympiads, astronomy Olympiads, why are they important, how do we get people excited, and what all comes out of that. So on that note, over to you, Aniket, and please ask questions. Online audience, please put your questions in the chat and we will take them up.
Thank you.
And you can share your screen now.
I will share my screen. Good morning. So as Arnab mentioned, that today's Chai and Wai is about the Olympiads and specifically International Olympiad on Astronomy and Astrophysics. So I think I should start on this side so I can also move the slides. So as you can see here, this is the logo for this year's IOAA, 18th International Olympiad on Astronomy and Astrophysics, IOAA. And you can see several elements here. There is GSLV going towards moon. As you know, we sent Chandrayaan to the moon. Gateway of India, everybody can recognize. There are meteors in Indian flag colors. Anything else you notice in this? Mumbai, yeah. So Gateway of India signifies Mumbai, but there's one more element which is O. O, what is special about O? Have you seen something like this somewhere? Ship has that. Okay, ship. The life buoys have those things. Okay. Anywhere else in related to astronomy? So how many of you have seen telescope, or have you looked through telescope anytime? Huh? Yeah. The secondary mirror is supported by such rods. We call it spider. So this telescope secondary mirror and spider. So if you take a photo of telescope tube from the front, the photo will look something like this. Yes. Okay. So we start with what exactly are the Olympiads. You can almost all major Olympiads are Olympiads, not just in astronomy, but also in physics, chemistry, biology, mathematics, and so on. And you will see their mission statements on the website. This is from the mission statement of International Olympic Committee. That the goal of Olympic movement is to contribute to building peaceful and better world by educating youth through sport, because it is Olympic Committee. In our case, it will be through academics. Practice a sport practice without discrimination of any kind. Okay. So that requires a mutual understanding with a spirit of friendship, solidarity, and fair play. So, as I mentioned, there are Olympiads in different subjects. There is International Mathematical Olympiad, Physics Olympiad, Chemistry, Biology. IOAA stands for International Olympiad on Informatics. IESO, International Earth Science Olympiad. IOAL, International Olympiad on Linguistics. So many international events exist. Why all these subjects organize International Olympiads? There are some academic reasons. A, we want to encourage participants to be their best rather than defeating others. That is, in sports, typically what happens in Olympics, there is one gold medal in every event, one silver medal, one bronze medal. Here, so if you want that medal, you have to defeat others. You have to be better than others. In Olympiads, academic Olympiads, the general principle is that we want students to encourage to do better, which means if you perform above a certain level, we put some threshold, we'll explain what threshold is. But if you cross a threshold, you will get medal. Doesn't matter who has done slightly better than you or who has done slightly worse than you. Everybody who crosses a certain threshold will get a medal. So encourage the students, challenge students and encourage them to think and learn, channel their natural competitiveness to positive ends, the academic ends. But also other reasons is give them opportunity to meet others like themselves, others who share passion of the same subject, and enable them to visit places very different from their own home. So when like participants from different countries are coming to Mumbai, many of them are visiting India for the first time, many of them may be visiting Asia for the first time. And the culture here would be very different from the culture back home. So they get to experience these cultures first time and learn from that. So for example, this is a picture of all teams, the mentors from last year's IOAA in Brazil. So you can see people with different countries. Some of them are in their country costumes. There are some flags here and so on. This is so similar to senior event which is happening in Mumbai right now. There is also a junior event, a slightly smaller scale, and this is from last year's IOAA Junior in Nepal. So IOAA, exactly what happens? Let me go through the process. All teams, they travel to some host country. There's different host country every year. Last year it was Brazil. This year it is India. So mentors of the team, that is, we call them team leaders, and students, they're put in separate accommodation. As soon as they land in Mumbai, students are sent different way, mentors are sent different way. Why? Because Olympiad consists of multiple rounds of exams, and before every examination, the 24 hours before typically every examination, the mentors are shown the question paper. The question paper every year is designed by respective host countries. So this year India has designed all the questions. And till 24 hours before the exam, nobody else knows about. Now host country will show, okay, this is what we plan to ask the students. Then all team leaders, they discuss, is this fair thing? Is it too difficult? Is something ambiguous? Can some students from some different culture may interpret some line differently? Is it too long? All these things are discussed. When everybody is satisfied, they approve that, okay, you can give this question paper to students. That is not the end of it. They also have to translate the paper. In India, we do most of the, in urban areas, many people go to English medium schools. And even those who go to vernacular schools, they are fairly familiar with English. But in many other countries, they just study in the national language. Take any example. In Asia, you go to China, or you go in Europe, you go to Germany or France or Italy. Everybody is studying in their national language. So they are not that familiar with English. So you have to translate a question paper in their language. So that also the leaders do. And after doing all that, the question paper is given to the students. The students appear for the exams. Now, since leaders know the question papers beforehand, students are kept in communication isolation. That is, all phones, laptops, iPads, all devices which are connected to internet are taken away from them. And so they cannot be reached. So after the examination of each round, mentors are given a copy of their students' answer sheets. All the original answer sheets are graded by host country, so India this year. But mentors are given one copy, because a team from Canada will get a copy of Canadian students. They also graded independently. And then the marks are exchanged. Host country tells, okay, for your student number 1, in question number 3, we have given 6 out of 10. Then the leader also checks, okay, according to me, okay, the student has made some mistake, but I would not give 6, I may give 8 out of 10. If they both agree, okay, 6 is fair score, fine, there is nothing to be done. But if one markers or local markers say that it is 6, but leader thinks it should be 8, there is a chance for them to sit across the table and do a moderation and agree to some common score. Either local markers convince the leaders why 6 is justified, or leaders convince the local markers why 8 is justified, or they agree on something in between. And that happens for every question for every student. Okay. And after that, the final awards and medals are decided. So typically the event lasts for 10 days. So who are the participating teams? Olympiads allow every country or region which is recognized by International Olympic Committee, IOC. So why I'm saying every country or region? So for example, as per the IOC rules, in addition to China, Hong Kong is a separate territory. Also, Macau is a separate territory. Similarly, Israel is a separate country. Palestine, although it is not recognized by all countries, but most of them recognize Palestine. IOC recognizes Palestine. So whatever is recognized by IOC is a separate, we can allow a separate team in Olympiad. Each team consists of up to 5 high school students. High school, that is up to class 12th. What we call as junior college is not a separate category in most countries. So up to class 12th. So the rules say that students should not have completed high school before the start of their calendar year. So on 1st January 2025, they should still be in high school. And they should not be more than 20 years of age before June 30 of that calendar year. In addition to the students, there can be 2 mentors with the team who are called team leaders. And they should be able to converse in English because the original papers will be presented in English. If they want to discuss, oh, I don't agree with this line of the question, or I want something to be changed, they should be able to communicate that in English. And they also have to translate it in their national language. So first they have to understand the question in English, then only they can translate. And so they're typically some either professional astronomers or sometimes astronomy or physics teachers, they're outreach experts, or sometimes past participants as well. Yes. No. International Olympic Committee has a list of that sports committee has this list of recognized territories. So we go with the same list. We don't want to create a separate list for that. In addition to these two mentors, sometimes countries want to bring more people. Like a country who is going to host in near future, they may want to bring 4 or 5 people to just see how the Olympiad is organized so that they learn from that. Or sometimes they say, that, okay, translation plus grading is too much of work. 2 people are not going to do it everything. So we will send 4 people and so they can share the work. Fine. That is allowed, but the additional people pay additional fee to join the IOAA. Okay. Then sometimes along with these mentors, some ministry officials want to come and see the Olympiad. Sometimes, in some cases, spouses of some of the leaders may want to go to Olympiad, or parents of some of the students want to go to Olympiad. But they are obviously not astronomers, or they don't have any idea about what astronomy is. So they cannot sit in the meeting and just do nothing. They will get bored. So there is a separate category called visitors for them. They come and they stay with the teams, but they don't have access to the discussions which are happening in the. And then there are local participants in the sense we need a lot of volunteers to help with this. There are people who have designed the questions. There are additional people who will help grade the questions. Since students are staying without leaders, along with these international teams, there are some local volunteers, local undergraduate students who act as team guides. There are other people like for telescope-based exam, we need some good amateur astronomers who can be examiners for those. Together, there can be 100+ people from the local country. Now, what are the rounds in the Olympiad? The first, there are some rounds where each participant appears individually, like athletics. In Olympics, India sends like 5 athletics participants. But most of these cases, like long jump, high jump, running, in most cases, the events are individual. In the same 800-meter run, you can see that 2 different Indian participants running. That can happen. Similarly, here, even Olympiad, each student participates individually in some of the rounds. So there is one round called theory round, which lasts for 5 hours, and it have typically 10 to 13 questions, which total amount, it is total weightage of 50% of the total score. Then there is at a stage. Then data analysis round is 25% of the weightage, about 2 to 3 questions and 4 hours. What is data analysis? Here in astronomy, it is difficult to set up a real experiment because you need a very big telescope to get research quality data from that telescope. And then 300 people taking readings from that big telescope is very, very time consuming, and with just one instrument is not possible. So the compromise is we get the data beforehand and present data to students that this data was taken from a telescope. Now you need to analyze this to get science out of it. That is the data analysis round. Then there is an observation round where you test their skill as an observer. So the skill can be with telescope, the knowledge of night sky, or any such related skills. That is another 25%. In addition to that, there are some group events. In the sense, these events don't contribute to your individual medals, but they are designed to encourage collaboration between the students. So there is a group competition where the 300 students who are assembled in Mumbai, they're randomly put in different groups such that no 2 students of same country are in the same group. And they are given some task which they have to do it together. They have to learn to talk to each other. They have to learn to respect each other and divide the work so that work gets done. and in a good way so that they win the prize. Similarly, many of the students also want to do more astronomy projects during the year so they can present whatever they are doing in the poster competition. And the themes are given for each year's poster. So there's some pictures from this year's IOA. On 14th August, that is 3 days before, there was the theory exam, 5 hours exam, which I spoke about. And this is how the exam happened. Is a big hall with 300 students and everybody is writing their exam. Then on 15th August, there was a observation exam. Since it's August, it's monsoon, the observation exam also happened indoor. So in that same big hall, what was done was telescopes were put in the hall and some simulated sky was put on the TV screen, which is at this end. And students had to point the telescope to the TV screen and work with and get some readings done. This is a picture from Poland group competition. There they were asked to create what we call as astrolab, how astrolabs are made. So they were given some materials and then find out the missing stars on the astrolabe. These are some examples of posters, how students make posters for poster competition. I will show a video which is from the observation round of Hungary IOA 2019. How they conducted night observation for real sky. So this was the hostel in which students were staying that year. And just behind that, there was a big sports field. And there they set up all these telescopes. You can see all telescopes are identical so that nobody can complain I got a different telescope and things like that. They're still being set up. The exam is going to happen in the night. So all the local examiners are making sure that everything is perfect. This was near on the shores of Lake Balaton in Hungary. And then the round starts. Everybody is using the red light so that their eyesight, the eye pupils are not contracted. Yes, the actual meteor is going in the sky. I think it was on the day of Perseid, so Perseid meteor shower. So yes, that is unfortunately true. But there are multiple reasons. Like August is typically a good month for most countries because they have vacations. Usually universities start or schools start in September. So typically August is a good month to do the Olympiad. That is why one of the reasons. And anyway, even if we had done, say, in October or November, Mumbai light pollution is so much that you have to travel at least 3 hours out of the city to get some kind of decent sky. So even if we had done this in October, November, I'm not sure how it was logistically feasible to transport all these instruments 3 hours each way just for the sky observation. So this is a very large group. It cannot be done in an institute because there will not be any good enough hostels enough quantity. So the students are staying in one hotel and which has enough number of rooms, and leaders are staying in another hotel which has another enough number of rooms. And the exams are happening inside the hotel itself. So that again, travel is minimized. So then During the
Group competition.
yes.
Can you repeat the question?
Group competition is yet to happen, so I will not discuss the question for that. In case somebody is watching on YouTube from the student hotel, not students, but any other organizers or any such thing. Okay, so this is then after, as I said, after all the rounds, the medals and awards are given. This is a picture from last year, Brazil. Who gets the awards? I said it is not just one gold, one silver, one bronze. So what they do, that after all rounds are done, you do find total scores, and median of the total score is normalized to 50%. And then everybody's scores are scaled as per that. After that scaling in normalized scores, anybody who gets 80% or more gets gold medal, 65% gets silver, 50% and above gets bronze. Plus there are honorable mentions, but is scoring more than respective median in either theory round or practical round, which is return observation. In addition, there are special prizes like overall winner, best in theory, best in practical, winners of group competition, best poster. Those are additional prizes. This year, the closing ceremony is going to be on 21st August, that is Thursday morning, and it will be streamed live on YouTube. So you can catch that ceremony on YouTube. Just quickly mentioning the history of IOA. The first edition was in 2007 with about 20 countries. This year in India, there are 64 countries. So yeah, that one is all the participants in the first edition of IOA, about less than 100. This one is 2023 Poland, 16th IOA, more than 200 participants. This year, 2025, the number is 288. Then, because of IOA, several regional events also started. Like the Latin American countries said that, yes, we want to participate in such an international competition, but many times when the event is happening in countries in Asia, the airfare is too expensive for us to travel. It's true, for many countries. Like India is lucky that government supports the Olympiad program and government pays for the airfares of all the team members. You talk to many other countries and there is no government support. They really struggle to find airfares every year. But they started a Latin American Olympiad in Astronomy and Astrophysics. And then in the European countries, they said that, okay, we want our students to do well in Olympiad, East Europe, okay, but we don't have enough people to train them. So why don't 4 or 5 of us come together and train our students together? So since last few years, Slovenia, Croatia, Hungary, few countries are coming together before the IOA and they train their students together. Then, as I mentioned earlier, IOA Junior started from 2022, which is for younger students. And because IOA existed, many countries which did not have any national level astronomy competition, they got inspired to start their national level astronomy competitions so that their teams can participate in IOA. There are many examples. Bangladesh, Canada, Cyprus, Germany, even UK, USA, they started because IOA existed. Presently, this is our reach. Here, the 3 colors, the orange color are the countries which used to participate earlier but currently not participating. Green color are the countries which have hosted IOA, and blue are all of the participating countries. And you can see that entire Europe is more or less covered. Asia, more or less, bulk of Asia is covered. Africa, we are just starting to include, but also most of the South America is also covered. In addition to exams, they also get free time as students, and in free time they enjoy. They dance together, they play games together, music, a lot of things happen, and they make lot of friends. What is asked in IOA? Remember, these are high school students up to class 12th. So the difficulty level of physics or mathematics involved is up to that level. But within that, you can design questions about anything. It can be about mechanics, celestial mechanics, coordinate system and times, solar system, stellar physics, stellar observations, interstellar matter, exoplanets, star clusters, galaxies, cosmology, instrumentation, error analysis, statistics. A lot of things can be done with just class 12th level physics and mathematics. I'll show one example. And this is a question which appeared in this year's Olympiad, the exam which happened on 14th. Since the exam has already happened, I can show the question. And this is a question I'm choosing because this has an Indian flavor. There are other questions which are on modern astrophysics, which I could have shown, but it's like any country can do that. This is a very typical Indian flavor question. The question goes like this. The festival of Makar Sankranti, everybody is familiar what is Makar Sankranti? Yeah. Is celebrated in India when the sun appears to enter in the zodiacal region of Capricorn, as seen from the Earth. It is currently celebrated around 14 January every year. Many years ago, this festival also coincided with the winter solstice in the northern hemisphere, which we assume to take place on 21st December. Okay. The first question to ask, based on this information, find a year when the celebration of this festival last coincided with winter solstice in northern hemisphere. Now, any of you physics students, can you tell exactly what is your task? What is being asked? How you will try to solve it? So they are saying presently 14 January is the date, and ideally it should have coincided with the winter solstice, which is now on 21st December. So how many years ago actually it coincided with? So it is not dependent on galaxy's movement, but Earth's axis, which we say is pointing towards pole star. That is the approximate statement. Earth's axis is also changing direction very slowly. It changes direction by about 1 degree every 72 years. This is called precession of Earth's axis. The reason for precession is again based on mechanics, but if you know that this is 1 degree every 72 years, you can estimate in how many years it would take to move from 14 January to 21 December. So 21st December to 14 January is 24 days. The sun moves by the axis, the point moves by, so every day sun moves about 0.9856 degrees. So that means over 24 days, the total shift is 23.65 degrees. So since we started celebrating Makar Sankranti, the position of winter solstice has shifted by 23.65 degrees. Now, I just mentioned the movement of Earth's axis is 1 degree every 72 years. It is 71.6 years. So it will take, if 1 degree takes 71.6 years, 23.65 degrees will take nearly 1694 years. So you subtract 1694 from the current date and you end up that the start of the year in which Makar Sankranti actually coincided with winter solstice was around 331 CE. But that is not the end of the question. This is just the beginning. Then next, you are told, if the sun appeared to enter the zodiacal region of Capricorn at a local time of 11:50 hours on 14 January 2006, calculate the date and time of entry in the same region for the year 2013. Okay. Now, the Earth's rotation, revolution around sun doesn't take exactly 365 days, doesn't take exactly 365 days, 6 hours. The revolution period is 365 days, 6 hours, 9 minutes and 13 seconds, if I remember correctly. Yeah, 6 hours, 9 minutes, 13 seconds. Okay. So now, if on 2006, this was the entry time, in 2007, you have to add this 6 hours, 9 minutes, 13 seconds to this. So it will be in the 6 in the evening. 2008, another 6 hours. Okay. Now, since it has crossed 12, the 14th January midnight, so date is 15th. 2009, another 6 hours more. But remember, 2008 February was a leap year. So it will be back to 14. Then same, you keep doing this. So they have to just remember which are the leap years and work out this table. And then 2013, it turns out that it will be on 14 January at 7 in the morning. Why we are doing this? Just for math, the addition checking? No. There is reason for that, which is the third part of the question. Makar Sankranti is celebrated at a given place on the day of the first sunset in the zodiac region of Capricorn. You may assume that local sunset time for Mumbai in January is 1830 hours, 6:30 in the evening. Indicate the date of celebration of festival on every year between 2006 and 2013. So if I go back, so here in the 12 in the afternoon. So sunset on 14 January, it was already in the zodiac in Capricorn. So Makar Sankranti will be on 14th. Here 6 in the evening, sunset at 6:30. So at 6:30 it was already in Capricorn. It is on 14th. Here this is past midnight. So Makar Sankranti will be on 15th. Here it is 14th. Again, no problem. Here 14th. Here now 1836 sunset, which is 1836 you enter the Capricorn, but which is past sunset. So in this year it will be 15th Makar Sankranti. It will not be 14th. Then this is also 15th, but this will again be 14th. So they have to realize that and mark this. Okay. So these are the kind of theory questions. There are also longer questions. I just gave example of. I can show example of observation question. This is a picture from 2018 China. So I'll show sample question from 2022. So that day, that year, what happened was, again, sky was not very clear. What they did, they had a very building in far. In the building windows, they pasted some images. And the students were told, in windows of that building, there are some images pasted. Your task is to point telescope there and identify what image is there. So then they were told these are the options. You have to just pick which images you could see. Okay. Or you can have an exam related to sky charts. So this is from 2011. There was a Polish astronomer, Hevelius. So Hevelius defined 7 new constellations in the sky, which are recognized by IU. So their names are given, their locations are given. They were told to identify the constellations in the sky. So these are the kind of questions. I am not showing the entire array, just to give an idea. And with that, let me take your questions. If there are any questions on YouTube, you can just check. If not, we will probably take a break and then we'll. Yeah, can you just say again? So, okay, the syllabus in any internet. Okay, the question is what kind of if some student goes as per some certain books, but syllabus of astronomy teaching in one country differs from astronomy teaching in another country, how well the student is expected to do if they go to another country? So the syllabus which I showed earlier is an international guideline, what all topics the students are supposed to know. But these students don't study for exam. They study because they like the subject. So they don't say, okay, syllabus में ये नहीं है तो ये नहीं करेंगे. Okay, if they hear about something interesting, they want to know more about it. So beyond the syllabus as well, there are a lot of things they usually know. So they never face this problem. Oh, ये syllabus में नहीं था तो इसलिए हम लोग को मालूम नहीं था. Okay.
Let's take a question here. Okay. How do you know that when translating the paper, whoever the translator has not put a hint in the question?
Okay, that's a good question. The question is that how do host country knows that some other country who has translated the paper has not put additional hints in the paper? During the Olympiad, the work is very intense. So there is sometimes there may not be way to explicitly check that. But we expect leaders coming to this kind of event, they honor their professional commitments and they would not do such things. But in addition, all translations are made publicly available to all the countries and also put on the website after the event. So if for some strange reason, if you in 1 year, say one country performs exceptionally well than their previous year's performance, so then leaders can or a host country can go back to the translation which is available and back translate it to check if they had done something which is not honorable. And in that case, the communication is sent to everybody that the medals awarded to that country are cancelled and the names of the students are expunged from the records, as well as the leaders face punishments of like not be getting banned from the Olympiad. So in the past, in the Cold War era, when there was big rivalry between one group of countries versus other group of countries, sometimes these things had happened. And after the rules have become so strict that nowadays no country does this.
Yeah, I mean, good. So the question is, the participants, do we know what they did after their career?
Good. Yeah, that's a good question. Although I'm standing here as International Olympiad President, I don't have data for all the countries. But before I became member of the executive committee of IOAA, I was training the Indian team. So I have some data for the Indian team. So the Indian past participants, we keep track of data. And what we have realized that more than 50% of the team members, they end up doing PhD in STEM subjects. So some of them in pure sciences. I am not saying only astronomy. Sometimes they do PhD in physics or mathematics. Some of them have also done PhD in biophysics. But some of them also do PhD in engineering. But still overall, more than 50% of the students, they do PhD. Many of them also continue in research jobs, either in universities or research divisions of big companies. And they do very well. We have examples of people coming back to India after PhDs and joining faculty positions in different institutes. Multiple examples of that kind. And they have done very well academically as well after they started working as faculty members. Also, some of the students they take up faculty positions in some other countries. And there also we have several examples of people doing extremely well. So overall, we say that the program in India at least is fairly successful in encouraging the students towards making them look at research as an attractive career. Research can be of many flavors, and it is up to them to choose which flavor they want to explore. Yeah. Good. That's a very. I repeat the question. The question is: do Olympiads help enhance science education standards in India or abroad? Now there are many ways in which this happens. So in India, for example, along with the Olympiad program for students, there are teacher training workshops where teachers are told what level is there for Olympiad. They are given some additional training so that they can train their students to appear for challenging exams such as Olympiads. And so this additional training for teachers helps improve quality of teaching in various institutes around the country. So now, for example, this year I mentioned that for the IOAA, there are graders involved coming from all over India. And many of these graders are teachers from different schools and colleges who participated in teacher training programs earlier, and they were identified as people who have potential to actually take part in the Olympiad program, and they are here this year as graders. Abroad as well, because of Olympiad programs, people have got in touch with the national curricular committees, explaining what they need to have in their country's syllabus so that the students can feel the wonder for astronomy. Then, because of Olympiads, many countries, they develop collaborations for astronomy education. So the team from Nepal and team from India and Bangladesh, they very often work together. That suppose they develop some kind of teaching, new teaching module for astronomy teaching, they share the resources with Bangladesh and Nepal, or if India develops, we share with them. If Nepal develops, they share with India and Bangladesh, and so on, so that teachers from all countries benefit from that. These kind of regional networks also get developed because of Olympiad. Yeah. Yes, that is a good question, good input. So Arnab points out that every year for Olympiad, you have to have this large number of telescopes. You saw in Hungary's video, there were 80 telescopes. This year in India, there are 50 telescopes. Now, every year's program for training of Indian team, you don't require 50 telescopes. So many of these telescopes get donated to the schools which need the telescopes. And then the teachers they are trained how to use those telescopes. So this way also the International Olympiads contribute to the astronomy education.
Okay, if I may ask a question, you went back to the timeline on how the Olympiad happens, but I think that doesn't, you said yes, mentors translate the paper and the jury agrees with the paper, but it doesn't really say how hectic it is. So maybe you should give the audience a feel of what are the timelines under which people are working day and night literally to ensure that the question paper reaches the students on time and the graded solutions are available in time.
So Arnab would like me to comment more about. Okay, I have to go a few slides back. Yeah. So here I mentioned that about 24 hours before each round, mentors get to see question paper, they approve and translate. And I just left at that. So Arnab wants me to give more details about this. So I'll give you an example of this year. This year, the theory exam was going to be held on 14th August, starting at 8:30 in the morning. Okay. Previous day, on 13th August, 9 o'clock in the morning, the question paper is released to the leaders. They start discussing. Remember, there are only 12 questions this year. So 12 questions, they keep discussing, and finally, the final paper gets approved at 10 o'clock in the night. There are some lunch break and all those things, but still at 10 o'clock in the night, the paper gets approved. Then some people have started translating, some people are still yet to begin translation. They start translating. After the translation, each translation is done. Suppose, say, Lithuania has 5 students. Then after Lithuania finishes translation, you have to make 5 copies for 5 Lithuanian students. They have to go in packets which are labeled as Lithuania student 1, Lithuania student 2, Lithuania student 3. They can't go to packet which is labeled Latvia. That will be trouble. So you have to be alert and put them in correct packet. That keeps happening as each team finishes translation. This year, the last team submitted the translation at 6 in the morning. And till that time, the organizers had to keep awake to receive the translation and print the translation. 6 in the morning, or actually 5:45 probably. So 5:45, the translation was submitted. 5:55, their envelopes were packed. And just as the box was being closed, the team which was supposed to take these papers to the student hotel was already there. Where are the boxes? We want to go now. So it is that cut to cut, and this happens day after day. That was theory exam. Next day, there was discussion about observation. Yesterday, there was discussion about data analysis. Every day that happens. Last night, I don't know. I have not checked. I finally went to sleep around 2 in the night. And that time, 3 teams were still translating. I don't know what time they finished. But in the morning, I just asked, have the papers gone to exam on time? And the papers had gone to on time. That's all I know.
Also the grading and the...
Yeah. So as I mentioned that grading happens, host country does grading for all students. And so yesterday, I knew I had to come here today morning. So I was supposed to sleep on time, but I was awake till 1:30 or 2 o'clock because we had discussion with graders. And we were discussing, see, if somebody has solved it correctly, then that's not a problem. We know how many marks to give. But now, if some student has done it in a very different way, the approach initially appears to be correct, but somehow that student has not reached the final answer. In that case, how many marks are fair? That requires discussion. And with 288 students coming from 64 countries, you will have tens of different methods. So then graders had long discussion that, okay, if somebody is taking this approach and stops here, we are giving 3 marks out of 5. Now somebody else from some other country has taken this approach, stops here. Is 2 marks fair in this case, or we should give 3 marks here as well? And that kind of comparison was going on. And we were having arguments about that. So that keeps happening. I think yesterday the graders did not sleep at all. They were grading till 5 in the morning. And they will sleep for a few hours. Probably after 11 o'clock, they will start grading again. And that is the way the Olympiad happens for 10 days. Yeah.
Are there any other plus problem? Maybe we will sort the next period.
Yeah.
Maybe have a break as well. Chai.
So before chai, I will just take this one question. You can stop the live stream.
Yeah, I'll just do that. So we can stop sharing. So before we end the live stream, let me just announce the next 2 Chai and Y sessions. This month has a 5th Sunday where there is a live from the lab session from TIFR. We will be in the protein biophysics lab of Professor Koti at TIFR. You will get a chance to visit that lab virtually. That is 2 weeks from now on the 5th Sunday of August. On the 1st Sunday of September, we will be at Prithvi Theatre where Professor Brita Vaidya will take us through what happens in the brain due to stress and various neurotransmitters involved in this process. So stress in the brain is coming up on the 1st Sunday of September. So on that note, let me thank Aniket for a wonderful session introducing us to what happens in the Astronomy Olympiad in particular. And we will stop the live stream. Audience here, please stay. We'll have chai and we can continue with questions. Okay. Thank you.